This is CNN Breaking News.
This breaking news, former President Joe Biden has just announced that he has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. Let's get straight to the White House and senior reporter Betsy Klein with more on this. Betsy.
Yeah, Frederica, the White House, the office of former President Joe Biden issuing a statement just moments ago that the former president has been diagnosed on Friday with what they described as an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. I want to read you this statement again from Biden's personal office. It says, last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9 with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The statement goes on to say that Biden and his family are reviewing treatment options with his physicians. Of course, President Biden is 82 years old, and of course, there has been so much scrutiny around the former president's health and his mental acuity and fitness for a second term in office. That is the subject, of course, of a new book from our colleague Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, as well as something that was really underscored by the release of the Her tapes earlier this week. So again, we've asked the White House for comment on this development. We will bring more details to you as soon as we have them. But again, former President Biden diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. Frederica.
All right, still so many questions. Betsy Klein, thank you so much. Of course, we'll talk more about it, and I'll be able to give you some of the questions.
No doubt you've now heard the news about President Biden being diagnosed with prostate cancer. It is just... I think what gets me about this is there are people who are, how should we say, loudmouths in politics, whether it's Donald Trump Jr. or other people who have a blue tick on X or various different, I don't know. It is not possible for cancer just to affect you if you are red or if you're blue. That's where your politics sway. And I was kind of brought up, sometimes you have what is known as common decency, respect. I'm speechless by some of the reaction I've seen to the news of the president's illness. Absolutely speechless. I was just brought up that there were bigger things than our political differences. It would appear within the Republican Party or the MAGA end of the Republican Party, that's not the case. Any opportunity to make a joke, be nasty. All I would say is we've all lost people, I'm sure, who've passed away from cancer. I lost my mum through cancer. If you're in a situation where recently you found out that somebody close to you has been diagnosed with cancer, understand one thing, and I think I'm going to say this, is the loudmouths that you see on social media don't represent anything. Don't represent the Republican Party, don't represent America. They're just, maybe they are in need of loving the man in the mirror. And the only reason I say that is because that's where a lot of attention is right now, and it's sad. I remember when Rush Limbaugh was first diagnosed with cancer, I got absolutely castigated because I wished him good luck. It is on both sides, left and right. If somebody you don't like is ill just because their political opinion is different to yours, you don't wish them bad luck. You don't make a joke of it. You wish them all the best, and they really, really need every ounce of just strength in the fight they face. So to Joe Biden, we just say, sir, you got this.
Gala, who is joining us now, a former advisor to President Clinton. Paul, thanks so much for being here with us. I first just want to get your reaction to this news that I think everybody, Democrat or Republican, is trying to absorb right now. And as Betsy was alluding to in talking to people who worked with the former president, there is a lot of surprise and shock and sadness.
Well, there is. I will note that Joe Biden is a man of powerful, profound faith. He's a brother Catholic. And at moments like this, especially Joe Biden turns to faith. He has been through this. He lost his son, Beau, of course, to cancer. So I am praying for him, and I ask viewers to do the same, politics aside. But think about this. There's a better than 1 in 3 chance, if you're watching this broadcast, better than 1 in 3 chance that one day you will be sitting in a room with bad fluorescent lighting, and the doc will say to you, I'm sorry, it's cancer. But there's hope. You know, cancer deaths are down 33% in the last 34 years. This is one of the great passions of my life. I'm on the board of advisors of the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, the world's foremost cancer hospital. I'm not an expert, but I care a lot. I lost my dad, my stepfather to cancer. I care a lot about this. And people need to know that there is hope. And the engine of that hope has been American research. And I have to say, it breaks my heart that people in Washington are talking about cutting the budget for cancer research. Let me give you some data. The National Cancer Institute, the largest funder of cancer research in the world, our National Cancer Institute, the federal government's, it only spends $7.2 billion a year on cancer research. That's it, on a disease that 1 out of 3 of us will get, $7 billion. Okay, we just had Easter 5 weeks ago. We spent $22 billion on Easter. We spend $15 billion on Super Bowl parties. I mean, one of the great things about Joe Biden is the passion he has brought to fighting cancer for all of us, not just for his kid and not just now for him. His cancer moonshot was revolutionary. And I got to tell you, I'm praying for Joe Biden, but I love that old African proverb that says, when you pray, move your feet. And I want to move my feet and start to pressure these politicians in Washington to do something more on cancer research, more and better research, which is working, rather than cutting cancer research. It's a wrong thing to do.
Yeah. It is incredible just how much cancer runs through the story of Joe Biden, both as a father and as a president, a politician, a vice president. As you mentioned, he lost his own son, Beau, to cancer in 2015. Then he and Jill Biden spent so much time, both when he was vice president and then as president, on the Cancer Moonshot Initiative. This is something, and as Dana Bash was saying, and when I covered him, he's so well known for consoling people, he calls everyone to talk to them, to console them, to check in on them, to make sure they have what they need if they're sick or ill, especially when it comes to cancer, because he's experienced it in his family. And so now for him to be experiencing this himself, it's such a moment.
Well, it is. And, you know, Hemingway said, life breaks us all, but some emerge stronger at the broken places. Man, is that Joe Biden. He is a guy who cruel fate has broken him so many times. He's borne more pain than anybody I know. And yet he is empathetic. He doesn't just say, oh, I've had a lot more pain than you, and so I don't really want to hear about your pain. Always reaching out, always helping, and always doing. Right? His public life, he has spent more time in public life than, half a century. And one of the hallmarks of it has been this remarkable Biden empathy, and especially on cancer. His cancer moonshot and the emphasis that he put on cancer research, where we lead the world. America is the world's leader. We have the smartest scientists from all over the world who want to come here. And I have to say, I'm terrified. I hear reports. I talked to somebody yesterday who was talking about somebody who was offered a job in medical science and left to go to Europe rather than to stay here. So I do think there are things we can all do. The most important thing is to pray. And then after that, to support research into this disease, because it knows no partisanship. I'm telling you, cancer doesn't ask, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And that we shouldn't ask which party we're in when we're looking to fund the research also.
Yeah. And look, there is the humanity of this, which I think we have certainly been able to get at in this conversation. There's also inherently kind of the politics piece of this, which is this was going to be a week where Joe Biden and his family were going to see the release of this book by our colleague Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson that focused a lot on his questions about his mental acuity and his fitness for office and all of these questions, which now, he has to deal with this announcement that he has this aggressive form of cancer.
It is terrible timing. I will say, it highlights the need for more transparency, medical transparency for our presidents, irrespective of party, irrespective of the individual. We need to know more. Just like we need to know more, I would have much greater transparency about their financial health as well. I want to see their tax returns, every bit of business. But we have a right. The third president, Thomas Jefferson, said when a person becomes a public official, they become public property. And so I do think that's legitimate. I think Jake's book is going to be very important. It's terrible timing for President Biden as a guy and his family, and I hate that. But there are larger issues here. I will note, as an ardent Democrat, it's really important that I speak up and thank President Trump for his gracious statement. His son, Donald Jr., issued gracious statements. This is important. I'm not somebody who's generally a big Trump fan, but I do admire that President Trump today and his son put out public statements of support and encouragement for President Biden and his family. That's really important.
All right, Paul Begala, thank you. It's nice to see you. I'm sorry it's to cover a story like this, but thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jess.